Hi everyone! For those of you who don't know me or recognize my voice, I'm Kennedi Rianne. I'm the voice actor for Nook and the creator for Leftovers at the End of the World. I also handle all the production, which includes editing each episode. So I kind of just wanted to take you through what goes into that. I've got Highland open on my right, which is the program that I use to write all of the scripts for the show. And on my left, I've got Premiere Pro open. And this is sort of where I lay everything out. I know that there are other softwares out there that you can use. This is primarily what I use because my background is actually in film, and so this is what I am most comfortable with. What you're looking at here is my current timeline. If you notice, I've got two sort of sequences open. One is for the actual episode here, where I've got my intro sequence laid out that I've already built into this particular project, and my recording sessions here. Now, when we do recording sessions for each voice actor, whether they're here in Arizona or somewhere else and they send recordings in, I bring them in here and I usually try to color code them based on who's talking, so that it's easier for me to reference. Now, before I actually begin, what I like to do is I like to make sure that each track is properly balanced so that when I'm editing later on, I don't have to go through and edit each and every single individual little clip. I can just go in, do it bulk all at once. So the way that works is I'm just going to extend this screen here so that we have bigger visibility. We're just going to start with Hunter. So I like to solo my tracks, just so that I can get lay of the land and also make sure that this is the only track that I'm hearing. I like to go into effects, audio effects. My first thing is amplitude and compression. So I like to go into hard limiter and effect controls. So we're going here. What I like to do is I like to make sure that it's not peaking. So I like to set it at -5. And we're not going to do anything else here. What we're doing is making sure that we don't pop into the red here. So when you watch, you're going to see, you can see it's a little low and we want to kind of boost it. So we're going to go back into effect controls and boom.
Do you know when a knock is coming back? Do you know when a knock is coming back?
So I can tell that there's still some gaps that need to be filled there. So we're just going to go ahead and boost this by 10 and see where that gets us.
Checking. Just checking. Ah, shit. That hurts. Oh, shit. That hurts. Yeah. Where did I put...
See, it's looking pretty good, but I'd like a bit more consistency there. So we're just going to keep going and say 13.
Yeah, I'm okay. Where did I put... I left it inside.
Yeah, so that looks good to me. So we're going to keep it there. And then just because I want to make sure that we don't get any extra noise, we're just going to do something simple. And we're just going to pop on a denoise here. You got to be careful if you're doing this because what could happen is that you get something that sounds really tinny. So I'm just going to play that just so you can hear.
Here it is. Oh, this turned out so nice. Here it is. Oh.
So see, it sounds a little muffled. I'm not a huge fan of that sound. And it could work depending on what you're going for. My sweet spot is right here, around 10%.
I left it inside. Here it is. Oh, this...
Yep, I'm satisfied with that. So that's what we're going to do. You can't simply just copy and paste that into each track, simply because it just... sometimes it doesn't copy, and also you kind of want to make sure for each person that their tracks sound the way you need them to. So we're just going to go ahead and do that for Margarita's lines here. Okay, so now that we have our tracks edited, it's just a matter of going through and making sure that our dialogue here matches our sequence here. And it does not matter if there were ad-libs, it's going to be based on performance, on what you prefer. So what I like to do is as I'm finding each clip, I like to move down the rest of the tracks so that I don't sort of like lose track of where I am in the timeline, and also to keep that front half clean. You'll see what I mean as we get further into this episode. So you'll notice here that Lena's lines are at different levels here. That's super okay. We just did a base edit for everything. I didn't account for the differences as they changed while we were recording. So I'm probably just going to go in here and make sure that you see that that's very high. So we're just going to go through here. I'll probably reset this, see where that takes us.
No es una apuesta.
That seems a little loud still, so we're going to bump that down to just say a -3.
Esa no es una apuesta.
Still a bit loud, but that's okay. At least we have a little bit of a better base for that. And then I'll go through later and I'll edit to make sure that everybody's voices are around the same levels. Or sometimes you make a mistake and then you entirely forget that you re-recorded that entire section and didn't have to do this at all. What I also like to do as I'm editing is I like to leave space for the potential action that'll happen. So here Hunter gives her line.
I left it inside.
And then as they go inside, I'm leaving room here to add in sound effects for Hunter going inside her boat. And then the sound effects of the Baha'i pulling in. I will say as I'm editing, it's also important for me to go back and listen to all of it as I'm going through. Just to make sure the conversation flows while I'm doing so. So I want to talk about this little snippet right here, because I'm sure you've noticed, if you already listened to the episode, you would have heard it. If you're currently watching me edit this now and you're listening to the scenes and you're reading along with the script, Marisol and Elena do talk Spanish to each other. So I don't speak Spanish, but Margarita does. So whenever we're doing a recording session, I give them the scripts and they are essentially like this, except it'll look more like it'll look like this, essentially, with the English translation underneath it. And Elena will go in before we record and she'll translate everything for us. Okay, so now that we have all of our tracks synced, we are going to basically do a full copy paste into the actual episode template itself. You'll notice that I already have assets dropped in here, including an intro, outro, all the good stuff. I want to make sure that none of these tracks get messed with, so we're going to bring them down a couple layers before we paste them in here. All right, there we go. So now we're just going to slightly adjust according to however this is. This is all going to get tightened up, but we're going to start at the very beginning right here. And that is where I'm going to leave off of part 1.